participants, all the distinguished panelists, and the appreciate you have taken the trouble to be with us. And this is actually the same sentiment that we have found. I'll just take 1 or 2 minutes to, before I introduce the topic and the speakers, that this is a couple of months before that we started talking about the need of universal social protection in Pakistan, which the COVID actually accelerated our discussions. And in the month of May, we started talking to the friends in April, and on 12th of May, we established Pakistan Alliance for Social Protection. That is an alliance of 22 organizations, leading organizations, development sector, academia, trade unions, think tanks. I can see many heads of the alliance partners participating in today's meeting also, and thank them for that. But then when we realize that the task of universal social protection is gigantic, and particularly the need of fresh knowledge creation and to design effective advocacy and public action programs, we decided to establish a think tank dedicated to social protection. That is what Social Protection Resource Center is, where Pakistan Alliance for Social Protection is housed. We took the month of June in setting up Social Protection Resource Center, and very happy. I have been updating the alliance partners also that we now, alhamdulillah, have a proper setup with more than 10 researchers on board. We have an office in Blue Area. And in month of June, we also established an expert advisory group, which has more than 30 distinguished scholars with us, even businessmen representing the employers. And in consultation with our alliance partners and the members of expert advisory group, we have organized our work plan. As far as the agenda is concerned, most of the people around already know that, but I can still, I think there's some new friends with us also, that we are together, Pakistan Alliance for Social Protection and Social Protection Resource Center, to struggle for the universalization of social protection in Pakistan. Now, Pakistan, we have a lot of activity already going on. We feel that it needs better integration, better voice. Government also apparently says that as a part of SDG agenda, we would have universal social protection in Pakistan by 2030. But what we are saying is that, okay, fine, we should have universal social protection, but we should not run after the dreams. Let's strive for having minimum social protection for all at all times as a responsibility of states. So that is what our common cause is, that we define what minimum is, what define all, we define all circumstances, and then bring it in and make the state provide that social protection as its responsibility. So in this context, we are not biting too large. We would strengthen and help other entities, organizations, individuals who are working towards universal social protection from cradle to grave, as they say. We have ILO social protection floor programs also. We are happy to have ILO represented in this forum also. I welcome Rabia and Ms. Caroline Bates on this forum. But what we are saying is that, look, we have these 5 pillars. If we have these 5 in place, we can have the minimum social protection available to all as a responsibility of state. In this regard, on 2 accounts, that is the care for the severe cases of disability and care for senior citizens. Here, there is absolutely no doubt that we should have universal provisioning for these 2 categories. When it comes to unemployment and provisioning of essential health services, these are the two other pillars, and the fifth pillar, the social assistance that we already have through Basic Income Support Program, or SARS, whatever you call it. As a poor country, we would continue having social assistance income transfer programs, but we do insist that we should get out of the charity mode, and we should have universal social protection as a responsibility of the state. So we have organized our work program in Social Protection Resource Center around this agenda, you can say common cause, for which this Pakistan Alliance for Social Protection has been created. So we have developed research and development programs for each of these 5 pillars. And today we are here together on the pillar of old age well-being. Now, when it comes to old age well-being, I would not like to preempt my esteemed guests to say anything about the state of old age well-being. One word, it's very poor. We would hear more from our esteemed experts. So this is one of our major work area on which this focus group discussion is one of the activities we would have in our research and development program. We would create fresh knowledge also. We would have many more activities. We actually had a focus group, we actually had a discussion on the WhatsApp group on old age well-being also. So we thought that one of the best starting point to enhance the old age well-being is the employees' old age institution, because that is the primary key institution established by the government to provide old age benefits, first of all, the pension. So we start with EOBI today, and then out of today's discussion, the Social Protection Resource Center would refine its R&D program, and with the help of you all, with the help of our expert advisory group members, we would, inshallah, in the coming week or two, finalize our research and development program and then put it on our website, and then would implement that. And then as we go forward, we would have many more discussions. That's why we have called it the first focus group discussion on old age well-being. Now, today's topic, we have woven around the topic around the role of EOBI. And we know that, and by the way, I talked to a couple of trade union leaders, and the response I got was that EOBI has one of the best leaderships around right now, which is fully aware of the need of improvement. And Mr. Azhar Hamid got an EOBI which had perhaps issues. So he had a very ambitious reform plan for EOBI. Let's hope that his plan responds to the actual need and requirement. So we have organized this session in this way, that we start with Dr. Nizamuddin, who is going to give us the salient features of the old age population in Pakistan and the trends that we can see, particularly with reference to the old age well-being. Dr. Nizamuddin would be followed by Ms. Ajiba and her colleague, Mr. Muizuddin, who would provide a critical review of the existing measures and programs and schemes of old age well-being in Pakistan. And then in the center of our today's event, we would have Mr. Azhar Hamid, chairman of EOBI, talking about his vision, what has happened since he took over, and where is it going. And then in the end, we have a very one of the most respectable trade union leaders, Mr. Zahoor Awan, with us, who would give us the trade union perspective on EOBI and in general on the old age well-being. So this would be the order. I'll be introducing the speaker as their turn comes. And here we start with Dr. Nizamuddin. And as it's customary to say that Dr. Nizamuddin needs no introduction, such an eminent sociologist, demographer, population expert.
Setup. And also today I'm seeing that the chairperson of EOBI is with us. And EOBI have been following it since it was inception in 1976, because it was a very great institution that developed, because in the Pakistani situation, it's the first institution which at least started talking about the pension system for the working population. Because we have, as you know, our formal labor force is very small. And then we made a law that every establishment which has, I think, 10 plus employees have to be registered and have to contribute towards EOBI. And that's why it is a very strong organization, legislatively speaking, that there's no escape for employers to not to contribute to the process. It has long history about EOBI's history. I know some of you may know about its pros and cons, is a problem that have in the past. But I'm sure now the new re-interest of the present government, they have increased these already 2,000 rupees per month, the pension rate, and they want to make it to the 10,000 rupees. So the question will be, where will the money come from? But the way I understand, the fund may not be sufficient by the year 2024, it may exhaust. We need to know how do we raise the money for EOBI in addition to the employer's contribution. What else can we do to make it
947?
Yeah. So yeah, this is a very what you call need of the hour that you have raised this issue, and I think this is very much needed because the population, aging population concept in the world is changing. No more old age population, no more 60 plus. We are talking about how the well-being of the older population is important, especially in the developing country like Pakistan. It's not sufficient to have, because at the moment we have about the population size of it's not very large. The proportion is not very large. It's only about 7%, so 4.5% of the total population 60 plus. Definition is changing. Most countries are now using 65 plus. We are still using 60 plus because our retirement age is still 60 officially. So, but the important thing we need to notice is the number, not the proportion. The number is very large. The number is already reaching 14 million. We don't have this latest census data of 2017. I'm sure Dr. Mehta will talk about it. Because of that lack of data, we could not project using the current population. This population projection that we have used from NIPS is based on the data that was generated by NIPS projections, which did 1998 to 2035. And from there, we see that about 13, 14 million today in Pakistan, we have 60 plus population. And out of that, we see how much is being covered. If you look at the working population in Pakistan, both informal and formal population is about 40 plus million, out of which 5 billion, 10 million are formal working population, but they are not part of any pension system. EOBI only covers about 5% of the total working population, Pakistan. That means we need to cover the non-EOBI members. We need to find out what way we can enhance the EOBI's reach to those members who may not be working in EOBI net, but they are working somehow informally as laborers, as daily wages. What can we do to enroll them and involve them, engage them, so that we can involve them as member, as contributory, non-contributory member to the pension system. If you have a universal pension system, means each person has to contribute something while they are working. But again, this is a fallacy in Pakistan. 60 plus is not retirement age for workers. People work in Pakistan till they die. is because they're working in informal sector. There's no age limit except those organizations we retired them at age 65. But most people in Pakistan or informal labor force, they're working till they die or they become sick, invalid. The question defining the aging population has to be changed. What will you define aging population in Pakistan? 60, 60 plus, or those who are 60, what will be the living longevity of this population will be questioned. So there are two concepts I want to introduce that the world has taken now. One is the Population Reference Bureau has written a book called the New Rethinking Aging and Aging Population. It's a good book, PRB. Will give an idea about rethinking aging or aging populations. Similarly, IASA in Austria is an organization which does a lot of research on this. They've talked about prospective aging, concept of prospective aging, not just aging. Which means how many people will survive after 60 years? How long will they survive? 20 years, 25 years? Their projections are those once you survive 60 years, you survive 25 years more. That means you prepare for 25 years, not for 10 years or 5 years. This is the projection we have to make for Pakistani. They have done it for developed countries. We need to do what is our perspective. As of now, I think Dr. Mehta will bring me out. Our aging survival ratio is that if you are 60 today in Pakistan, you may survive 15 to 16 years more. That means you have to plan for 76 years age. If this is the possibility, then what are our health systems, what are our housing systems, what are our income system that we can support this population? So therefore, either we provide them job, or they're doing it already, or we get them involved in some kind of systematic contribution to a fund, which is EOBI could one way to be the largest outfit, in my opinion, outside Pakistan, outside formal Pakistan government. I think we should know how do we involve the working population in Pakistan beyond the current net of the EOBI system. And then once we do this, I want to also make some comments about what will be the research agenda for your group of the Research Resource Center as well as the Policy Center. As this is a great development that I never knew about this, that you have offices, you have staff, you're working, and you're planning to take out a report in August. I think this is a good beginning, good start. I would be very happy to work with you because I believe that we need to do a lot of rethinking about aging, about EOBI, about working, about pension system. Because I was involved in organizing the World Assembly Aging in Madrid, 2002. India came up with a proposal reporting to the Madrid conference that they are already have a universal pension system. That when anybody in India 60 plus will receive a pension, about 2,000 from the federal government and similar amount from the provincial government. That was their proposal in 2002. So I'm suggesting that we should also have a universal pension system. But to draw the resources for that, we need to enlist support of the working population, whether they're laborers, daily wagers, not members of the EOBI, but they should be part of it. As it happens in the American system, you can be domestic worker, you can do your personal work, but you contribute to Social Security benefit. So that ultimately when you reach 65, you get Social Security benefits. So see, something like this we can introduce, but we have to promise them and keep that promise that if you contribute even 100 rupees per month, you will be enrolled in the system, which will become ultimately beneficial to you. So we need to redefine working age population, redefine workers, redefine our situation. Secondly, I think the way the EOB has organized, it has gone through up and down. It has gone through a lot of scandals, but still surviving, still the only available support system we have for the working populations in the organized sector. I think this can be reorganized with this system today, with the use of internet technology, with the use of banking system, with the use of NADRA, we can develop a system to reach the working population. They don't have to come to your offices, your headquarters, and they can directly be connected through the bank system, and they can sitting at home receive the fund after all the checks and balances that you can align. This also has to be seen how we can restructure, reorganize EOBI's infrastructure, EOBI's system of disbursement, and how can we engage more Nadra and more banking system in Pakistan. I think it's a good beginning. I would like to work in your committees to see how we can help EOBI to strengthen their process. And this is the only working institution we have in Pakistan. There is no other one. Although there are, of course, workers' federation, they need to be also engaged beyond the political work in terms of actual contribution to the pension system. What they can do, because they have membership organizations, they can also take some money from the members. When I was coming to Pakistan in 2005, I was coming with the idea that I will prepare and launch Pakistan Association of Retired Persons or older persons with membership, so that we can then take the membership fee like it happens in America, and then fight for their rights, for their benefits in the, as we already have, in the railway system, in the airline system, education, medicine, purchase. We can give them discounts and start a magazine all around Pakistan or Urdu language to reach out all older persons in Pakistan. That was my idea when I came back, but I couldn't do it. Hopefully with your organization, we can start this process and start association of all older persons in Pakistan. That could be strong force for us. We can organize. It's being used in America for voting behavior. There's a 20% people who can make a difference in political voting every time the election takes place, because they demand their rights, their requirements with the political parties. We can do something similar, organize all the older persons. For example, if there are 14 million people in Pakistan, they become members of an association. They could be a strong force to make a difference in the political process of Pakistan. So there are a lot of things, ideas I have, we can share with you once we start working on the subgroups or committees that you have. I'll stop here and then leave it to others to talk about it.
Dr. Sab, thank you very much for such a comprehensive introduction to the subject, as well as precious advice for the way forward. What I was thinking while listening to you is that we do have high quality technical expertise available in Pakistan. We have a very good understanding of the issues. I'm very personally very encouraged, and Dr. Nizam already assured me that he would guide us. Today he has put very concrete suggestions on the table, and we would take them forward under his guidance in consultation with other partners also. This interlocking with academia, I think that is an extremely important aspect. He is Vice Chancellor of a university. We have other universities as knowledge partners also. So that would be very helpful. And Doctor, thank you very much for bringing up this idea of association or whatever you call for old people. What we are seeing and struggling is that the voice is the question. People realize the gravity of the situation, but somehow we are not able. There are self-driven reformers, but I think having voice would be helpful. And that takes us to the next topic also, that we do have a large number of initiatives and measures already in place, and why they are not really contributing or making the difference that should ideally be there. So we have invited Ms. Ajiba Aslam and her colleague Sayyid Moizuddin to talk about the existing programs and to do a critical review of those programs. Ms. Ajiba, I welcome you again. You were kind to accept our invitation. I'll very briefly introduce. She is an authority on old age. Ms. Ajiba Aslam has been working for over 20 years nationally and internationally in the development sector. She has a master's in anthropology and a second one in international development from UK. And for over 8 years, she has been working on the issues of aging in Pakistan. She is the country director of a well-known INGO, that is HelpAge. And she is also chairperson of FAID, linking old age with inclusive development, which is an extremely important aspect. If we study and work on this issue as a part of inclusive development, that should be very helpful. Over to you, Ms. Ajiba.
Thank you very much, Dr. Saab. It's a privilege, and I feel really honored to share this forum with the expert panel that you have just introduced. As Dr. Safdar has given a brief intro, I am working for two institutions actually. One is an INGO, which is working globally, but at the same time, I'm also working for an initiative, national initiative, which we have recently set up called FIDE, which is striving to have a society where growing and dignified that we all wish for. I'll do a short presentation based on a mapping study that recently we had carried out, mapping policies and programs about social protection for the senior citizens in Pakistan. So I'll just quickly, if I would request the host if they could allow me to show my screen because currently it shows disabled.
Just hold on, I'm working on it.
Sure, thank you.
Gee, Mr. Ziba, can you share your screen now?
I think yes, I can now.
Please.
Great, thank you. Um, I don't know if a presentation is showing on the participants' screens at the moment.
No, it's not yet showing.
Yeah, it is not showing.
How about now?
Still, we can't see it.
Okay, my apologies like with this.
Let me share it with.
Please, yeah,
with the
yeah, if you
screen.
could display it.
Yes,
Yes, if you could display that, yeah.
Please.
Thank you. Yeah, I can actually just go ahead while you put up the presentation.
Yes, everyone, can you see the screen now?
Yeah.
Yes.
We
Great.
can see it now, yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Great. Thank you. Yeah, so for actually like my presentation is titled as Growing Old in Pakistan. It's a critical review of the social protection in old age. Since it's a bit graphic, that's why I insisted on showing the presentation. Next slide, please. We all, as you all, the learned panel and the participants know that the Constitution, as a policy principle, it does mention that all the citizens need to be covered through a social protection funded through state. And as Dr. Nizam has very clearly put out that Pakistan is one of the aging countries. Although we have a young population, but we forget the fact that with the longevity we are having, we will be one of the fast aging countries very soon. Like somebody who is 40 now, 20 years from now will be 60 plus. So, but even now, like in terms of numbers, Pakistan, although we say it's a young country, it's one of the only 15 countries globally where we have more than 10 million older people. And this will continue to increase. And we hope it increases with the better health interventions and other factors contributing to people's longevity. Next, please. But we all know that in Pakistan, it's, you know, like all people in older age, due to reduced ability to work, primarily because of lack of employment opportunities, as well as health conditions, they face challenges in meeting their livelihoods needs, their income needs. And you may see that the labor force participation declines sharply in older age. There's two sets of data that I have shared here from two different sources. One is from the Pakistan Bureau of Statistics 2017 records. You may see that in the labor force participation, when you look at the numbers, like it's like total 51% of people between the age of 60 and 64 are in the labor force. Majority of these are men, which stands like of this 51%, 69% are men, while only 29.3% are women. And this sharply declines when people are 65 plus. So there are not that many who are in labor force, like formal labor force. And then like when you look at the gender aspect of it, you would see that women are far more disadvantaged in terms of access to employment opportunities. So when you look at like all the data that British Council had put out based on a large-scale survey in Pakistan, which was about older people and their livelihoods and well-being. And this is a figure which they show that a majority of older women are out of the labor force. Next, please. And also the same survey actually highlighted, the British Council survey highlighted that nearly 40% of older people in Pakistan have no income at all. And this puts like women, older women, in more precarious conditions. Older women because as the demographers here in the panel and other experts know that globally, except for very few contexts like Afghanistan and one more country, women tend to live longer. And even in Pakistan currently, women are living around like average age for women is over 2 years over 2 years more than average age for men, which means like the disadvantages that women face throughout their life course actually do get magnified when they grow old. So that's why it's very like, it puts women in more precarious situation in terms of their income and livelihood. But generally, it is considered that the families in our culture and society will take responsibility for providing for the older people. So it is considered, a shame to ask somebody else, even including the states, to provide for the older people. Next, please. So in terms of social protection system, Pakistan, as you all know, has relatively well-developed social protection system. But the challenges we face are with regards to fragmented system, its resourcing, as well as the coverage, the scale of it. Pakistan launched its first social protection scheme in 1967. Long time ago, and then in 70s started its employee old age benefits institution, and 80s and 90s zakat and Baitul Mal were introduced, and more recently when national social protection strategy was developed, Pakistan initiated its own like a social protection system with bringing benefit income support program. Next, please. So with the 18th Amendment, we all know that social protection has now been transferred to the provinces. It's their responsibility to develop their own social protection policies and programs. However, it has led to more fragmentation and duplication in the systems. In 2019, the government has launched a SAS program, and one key change or the amendment that SAS program has proposed is to bring right to social protection, under fundamental rights section in our constitution, because currently it stands under principles of policy. It's not part of the fundamental rights. SAS is also the first social protection which recognizes elderly as one of the beneficiary or the target group. Next, please. Now, like one of the key elements of components of a social protection system is access to a universal social pension, which Dr. Nizam has already highlighted that he has been advocating for it for a long time now. Currently, it's only 2.75 million people, or a quarter of the population over the age of 60, are receiving pensions in Pakistan. And these include primarily the beneficiaries of civil service, military, retired military personnel, and private sector, like EOBI beneficiaries. This leaves out a large portion of older people who are primarily associated with informal work. They do not get any chance to have any access to pensions. We did a survey in 2015 in Sindh, and we found out like people at the age of 74 to 78, majority of them were still engaged in their agriculture work, for which, of course, like we don't get any pensions when we grow old. Next, please. Again, in this, as I highlighted before, like the gender dynamics also need to be kept in mind. And the British Council's survey actually highlighted this, that with older men, 60% are more likely to receive pensions than older women. And of course, it is also linked to women having less participation in formal and private labor force. So most of the women are either in informal labor force or not there at all. So that's why like have limited access to social protection or pensions when grow old. Also, it showed a concentration of pension recipients of the 2.75 million people. Pension recipients were more concentrated in urban areas. So there is this discrimination in a way as well, where rural areas, there are very like small percent, like 26% are living, pensioners live in rural areas. And we understand why, because there's lack of access to formal work opportunities in the rural areas. Next, please. And in the pension systems, public sector pensions are the major part of Pakistan's pension systems. These are federal and provincial schemes, which cover, as I said, like approximately 2.5 million older people. And public sector pensions are exclusively funded through budget allocations and are by far the government's largest social protection expenditure related to old age. And EOBI, funded for contributions from both employers and employees, contributes to 5% of the minimum wage of the employee, where we all like contribute in the semi-formal or the industrial sector, the private sector. It's providing for old age pension of the registered beneficiaries, old age grant, and invalidity pension. Next, please. I won't labor a lot on the EOBI part, because I know like one of the presenters will be there to talk more about the EOBI. So like in a very organized pension system in any particular countries, the graph that currently is on display, this is what the experts propose, that this is what it should look like, where there is bare minimum social pension for everybody, for the rich and the poor, for the people in the formal or the informal sector. We all get certain amount or a percentage, in our old age, which we can use to meet our basic needs. And of course, like complementary schemes and social insurances and people's own personal savings contribute to the, better economic situation for older people in countries. Next, please. But when you compare this to Pakistan and you look at the pension system, this is what it actually looks like. As there's no pension for more than 75% of older people. And there's a small block that you see in this on both the axes. It's only for the formal private sector, retired military personnel, and civil services. You can add a small box of personal savings here, but a large majority is left out of the formal pension system. I would say, like under SAS, the government of Punjab has actually proposed a Bahimmat Buzurg program, which proposes a pension, social pension for people over the age of 65. It's part of their provincial strategy, but I don't know like whether that has been there has been any formal approvals for that or not. But that was the last time we studied it. It was proposed as one of the strategies, and I think this forum should be more vocal and talk about like scaling it up, introducing it, and then scaling it up, and also sharing with other provinces as well as with the federal government to introduce similar measures there as well. Next, please. So in summary, I would say like Pakistan's social protection system is weak in terms of providing income security in older age. There's limited coverage of the pension system. The scale is very small as compared to the number of older people we have, which puts older people more at risk of falling in poverty and also facing destitution. Informal sector remains mostly uncovered, and the existing tax-funded targeted social protection schemes reach only a very small number of older people and are not designed to protect older people from falling into poverty. So this is like the basic summary of my presentation. Last slide, Ji. Ji. So thank you, Ji. This was a quick overview, and this last picture of our older people still smiling, that shows resilience of this nation. But we hope that together with this forum, we will be able to advocate more for having a secure, dignified, and healthy aging for all of us. Thank you very much.
Ms. Ajiba, thank you very much for a very comprehensive overview of the existing schemes and the major problems of fragmentation, of coverage. So we now have these two excellent background presentations, one can say, setting the context. We would have time to take forward and discuss the ideas that Ms. Ajiba has given. To save the time, I would like that we quickly go to the next presentation. That is Mr. Azhar Hamid, the Chairman EOBI, who is with us. Azhar sir, thank you very much for sparing time. I know you're a busy man. You just had a couple of months spent on this achievement of enhancing the pension very significantly from 6,500 to 8,500. Very briefly, Mr. Azhar Hamid, a career civil servant belonging to the Audit and Account Service of Pakistan. He's one of the rare officers who have combined the traditional mainstream postings with such postings which were much more challenging. He has been an automation consultant with ADB for 5 years. He was Chief Technology Officer of the Auditor General's Office in Pakistan in terms of financial reporting. And he was Rector of the National Audit and Accounting Academy of Pakistan when he was appointed as Chairman EOBI. And there his plate was full, I'm sure, to first clear out the old baggage and then undertake comprehensive reform. Mr. Hamid, we all know and hear from different sources that you have prepared a very, very holistic and comprehensive reform plan for EOBI in such a way that EOBI becomes one of the key pillar of old age well-being in Pakistan. So we would like you to share the details with us so that we all know, and we would also like as Social Protection Resource Center and Pakistan Alliance for Social Protection to complement your efforts to strengthen your hands. We all know that how important it is and how urgent it is to enhance the old age well-being. Over to you, Mr. Azhar Hamid.
Thank you very much, Dr. Saab. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. I hope everybody can listen.
Alaikum salam, Dr. Yes, everyone can listen, please.
I'm pleasantly surprised, Dr. Sohail, that you have invited me to actually address this August forum, because prior to joining civil services, I was a mariner by profession, and we used to sail, and we had this, well, the technology then was not that, the availability of technology was not there. So we would still use sextant for our position fixing system. So we would have 52 navigable stars in the northern and southern hemisphere. So right now, I'm in the galaxy of those stars, and probably these could be the guiding stars in terms of how do we steer EOBI as an institution for our future. So my compliments to you, and my compliments to your distinguished participants. So thank you very much for inviting me. I don't have a formal presentation. I thought about it because ever since I've joined EOBI, it's always race against time, because there's so much to do, and there's so much limited time available. But having said that, there used to be an exercise in my last posting. When I was Rector of PAAA, I used to have that session every fortnight, and I would call it as Random Thoughts. And then I would share my experiences, and based on those experiences, I would draw upon certain conclusions. So when I joined EOBI, there was only one person who actually backed me up, and that was my father. And the rest, everybody, point blank, उन्होंने कहा कि आप किस मुसीबत में जा रहे हैं, बेहतर है कि आप इसको avoid करें. But my father told me that before you retire, probably the God Almighty wants you to do something for the pensioners. So that was one inspiration which actually is the driving force behind whatever little efforts I can contribute, my 2 cents with regards to EOBI's transformation. To start with, EOBI, if you carry out a clinical dissection, honestly, you really can't figure out that from where to start. If you look at a human body, we've got all sorts of systems over there: respiratory system, nervous system, the motor system, whatnot. But unfortunately, this organization suffers from certain perennial problems, which are very basic in nature. And then the other problems, they are sort of offshoots of those basic problems. So I would try to restrict myself to the basic problems, and then probably leave it to the forum in terms of actually addressing those problems, and probably asking for my response in terms of the basic issues and then the derived issues. The basic issue starts from the fact that the EOBI Act, when it was formulated in 1976, it had a tripartite arrangement, and that was on the regulator, the EOB as an institution. And then we had the employer and the employee. And the relationship was that the employer, on the behalf of employee, would contribute certain percentage of funds to EOBI, and EOBI over a period of time through its investment mechanism would pay the insured person once he or she retires at the age of 60 years and 55 years in the case of women. And the defining arrangement within this tripartite arrangement was that all three pillars would behave in a so-called utopian understanding where everything would happen in a very seamless manner, and probably there won't be any hiccups or speed breakers, so to speak. But unfortunately, over a period of time, uh, the employee or the person who is the insured person was supposed to be the critical factor in terms of being the ultimate beneficiary, and the one who had to be empowered to start with, uh, he or she was left at the mercy of the regulator and of course the employer. Why I say that? Because over a period of time, the employer and of course the regulator, they connived, and you can brand them with various arrangements like speed money, rent seeking opportunities, extortion. But at the end of the day, the ultimate beneficiary was the sufferer. And over a period of time, we've seen the act itself. It went certain amendments, and to top it all, 18th amendment actually provided a situation where it was supposed to be a devolved subject, but after 11 years, you can still see that there's no infrastructure available in terms of actually making it a provincial, institution as such. I'm not saying that it can't happen, but the very basics in terms of the purpose for which it was instituted, they do not serve the purpose. Why I say that? If you look at the ASA, the Social Security Association, which is based out of United States. If you look at the data, 149 countries of the world, they have this pension system, old age pension system, which is maintained at the federal level. And there are 4 countries, Libya, China, Denmark, and South Africa, where they have an arrangement like Pakistan, like PASI, SESI, but still they maintain their pension system at the federal level. And unfortunately, under 18th Amendment, I don't know, of course, the understanding and the philosophy behind 18th Amendment is very, sincere. But I don't think there were certain aspects within that policy which could have addressed the institutions like EOBI. So Pakistan is the only country out of 149 where we are trying to devolve the pension, state pension at the level of provinces. And just to give you a quick background to this, on 23rd December we had this CCI meeting, and we made a compelling argument. I made the presentation. So luckily in March the decision came, and it was decided that EOBI would be maintained at the federal level. So right now EOBI as an institution is going to be maintained at the federal level. That's the decision of CCI. You have 3 provinces on board. One province kept mum, but more or less the majority decision was that it has to be kept at the federal level. So once this decision has been made, we are well placed in terms of actually bringing about the amendments which are the prime need right now in terms of how do we take EOBI forward, because that legal framework does not give us the maneuverability in terms of expanding our scope, at the same time bringing about some meaningful changes within the ambit of old age benefit institution. So this tripart arrangement which I was talking about, the first 3 months of mine was to actually go through the act itself. And अब ये हालत है कि अगर आप मुझसे एक्ट के बारे में पूछें तो I sleep, EOBI Act, I talk EOBI Act, and it's like मुझे ज़बानी याद है. So for me, it was very important to actually understand the legal framework of the act, and probably then I was in a position to actually bring about the reform agenda. Having done that, then I personally wrote the concept for transformation of EOBI, and which is popularly known as the EOBI Transformation Initiative, ETI. And the PC1 has been written by me. The RFP, luckily, I've been a technology savvy civil servant, so on that account, I'm well served. As it stands right now, we are in the process of assessing and evaluating the bids. So inshallah ta'ala, in this month, July, we would be awarding the contract, and it is supposed to be a 2-year program. And as I see it, it has 8 segments, and if we are able to successfully implement it, it would change the face of the organization, and quite rightly so, because unless we use technology, we would not be able to empower the ultimate beneficiary, that is the insured person. So this ETI has 8 segments, and the pillar around which everything revolves is the creation of mass awareness. And I'm very happy that, and like I said in the beginning, that I'm pleasantly surprised that we have PASP institutions like PSP who have been, at the forefront, and of course they have been recently established. So I'm very happy that at least for awareness and advocacy, we do have a forum in the private sector where we can collaborate and probably build upon it in terms of creating that awareness. Now, that mass awareness program basically would ensure that people in the formal sector and of course the informal sector, they are able to register themselves with EOBI. Now, let me just give you the statistical information. According to the labor force survey of 2017 and 18, the people sorry, can everybody hear me, please?
Yes, sir. Everyone can hear you. Please carry on.
Okay, ji. Now, according to labor force survey of 2017 and 18, the total workforce, Pakistan's workforce, is around 65.1 million. And if I were to extrapolate it to the year 2019-20, right now, it should be approximately around 70 million. Now, out of the 70 million, 20% resides in the formal sector and 80% in the informal sector. EOBI as an institution primarily deals with the formal sector. So if you look at the workforce figure, 70 millions, the 20% of it comes to around 14 million. Right now, we have a registered database of 8.5 million people. If you can slice and dice, because there's this issue of quality of data. So if I were to take out, some percentage of data, still look at the magnitude within the formal sector, which I have to cover. So looking at it in terms of the size, out of 14 million, there's still way to go. So the contribution we get out of the registered IPs this year stands at around 21 billion plus. But if we are able to, cover this formal sector, this contribution should at least double, if not more. So the challenge is to actually see to it that in the coming years or so, we need to, see that contribution is collected the way it should be, and then bring about certain amendments within the EOBI Act so as to increase the contribution. Right now, the contribution system, it's a methodology which has been prescribed by ILO, and it's basically a scaled premium methodology, which entails that there would be a contribution on the part of employee and the employer. Right now, it's 1% for the employee and 5% for the employer. So 6% of the contribution, that is collected by EOBI, and then of course we make the payments once they retire. This scaled premium methodology basically means that after every 10 to 15 years, they would like to have an equilibrium balance. That essentially means that after 15 years, they would see that now the contribution has to be enhanced so as to meet the future requirements, and given the fact that we are a developing country. So this system works well till the point where you're able to cover majority of the workforce. And once it becomes saturated, then probably the other systems like pay as you go or the gap system prescribed by ILO that would be implemented. So right now, EOBI is following the ILO system of scaled premium. And just to give you a flavor of what has happened in the past 15, 60 months since I've joined, unfortunately, the focus in terms of what we had to do was probably not there in terms of organizational response. Now, I'm not going to blame my predecessors. No, that's not the point. It's just that it's the way we have been trained. Like I personally believe, having served 16 months in EOBI, I think the starting point would be that whosoever is at the leadership position or at the top management level, when you're looking at DG HR, DG Ops, DG Investments, DG Finance, now these people, they need to be compassionate. Now that is basically more to do with your value system of the society, but then it needs to be part of an integral part of your personality too, because unless you have compassion, I don't think that you're going to draw the philosophy of old age benefit, because I personally believe that aging or becoming old should be a privilege. It should not be a situation where you're worried about your future. So the whole context, the whole bedrock should be that it should be a privilege when you're growing old or you're getting into that category of old age. So the fear factor has to be taken out. So that's why I say that you need to have a certain level of compassion when we're heading these organizations. Then moving apart from this tripartite arrangement, I've talked about the 18th Amendment since before the CCI decision. The act was, it was not a active legislative piece. So since it was silent, it was dormant, so we could not make any amendments. So what we intend to do now is that in terms of contribution, because the ILO methodology of scaled premium requires that 10-15 साल के बाद आपको जरूर जो है इसको evaluate करवाना पड़ेगा आपके contribution का. तो हमारा contribution 5% to since inception 1976 ही चल रहा था, और employee का जो contribution आया वो 1999-2000 में आया. So already 20 साल गुजर चुके हैं. Coupled with that, there was another problem. ये मैं चीजें आपको इसलिए बता रहा हूँ कि please do understand the sort of challenges EOBI has in terms of meeting its obligations. हमारा problem जो major इस वक्त वो आ रहा है वो ये है कि जो 2005 onwards जब शौकत अजीज साहब प्राइम मिनिस्टर थे, तो the arrangement was that through money bill they would bring about the minimum wage rate, and the minimum wage rate once it was announced, तो उसके basis के ऊपर आपके जो 5% and 1% जो contribution है वो calculate होता था employer and employee का. In 2016, the Supreme Court struck that arrangement down, and they said that if you want to address the issue of bringing about the amendment in the minimum wage rate bill, that should be done through the amendment in the act itself rather than through the finance bill. अब उसका problem क्या हुआ कि ये judgment तो आ गई, लेकिन the employers they went back to the situation of 2005, और उस वक्त 2005 का जो contribution certain industries के rates थे वो उस पर चले गए. अब for example अगर हमारा minimum wage rate जो कि अभी हम deal कर रहे हैं apart from ICT provincial level पे, that is rupees 13,000, लेकिन आपकी more than 50% of the organizations हैं जो 170 rupees का contribution दे रहे हैं, यानी rupees 13,000 के ऊपर जो contribution आपका बनता है rupees 780. That is 5% is 650, 1% is 130 rupees. So in a nutshell, you get 780 rupees on a minimum wage rate of 13,000. लेकिन 2005 के अगर उस पे चले जाएं तो जो आपका टेक्सटाइल सेक्टर है मेजॉरिटी वो रुपीस 170 पे दे रहे हैं, क्योंकि उस वक्त मिनिमम वेज रेट 3000 था. इसी तरह फिर एक सर्टेन कैटेगरीज ऑफ इंडस्ट्रीज हैं वो 480 पे दे रही हैं, क्योंकि उस वक्त उनका जो मिनिमम वेज रेट था उस पे 6000 पे कैलकुलेट होती थी. So right now we have 4 bands, 170, 480, 780, and then ICT का क्योंकि फेडरल लेवल पे है 17,500, तो यहाँ पर हमें जो contribution है वो 1,050 पे मिलता है. Having said that, जो majority आपका contribution है वो that comes on rupees 170 and 480. Now technically होना ये चाहिए था कि जो contribution आप दे रहे हैं उसी हिसाब से आपका pension payout. लेकिन not many people know and not many people realize the fact that the government has taken this decision कि आप minimum wage rate जो है वो आपने एक benchmark करना है. So if it was 5250 or it was 6,500 or now 8,500, तो वो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन जो कंट्रीब्यूट रुपीस 170 पे कर रही हैं, उनके जो रिटायर्ड लोग हैं उनकी पेंशन जो हैं वो 1200 उससे ज़्यादा नहीं बनती. इसी तरह 480 पे जो कंट्रीब्यूट कर रहे हैं उनकी मेरे ख्याल में अगर जो फॉर्मूला है हमारा उसके तहत उनकी भी कोई 3000 से ज़्यादा नहीं बनती. बट इट्स अ ग्रेट डिसीजन दैट द गवर्नमेंट हैज़ टेकन एंड इट्स परसुइंग इट एज इट इज, दैट आपको मिनिमम वेज रेट देते हैं, ऑल्दो कि आपका contribution जो है that does not commensurate with what you are paying out. So even on that, if you look at it, तो जो पिछले 4-5 साल के अंदर जो depletion हुई है in terms of the contribution, that is around 100 billion rupees. So when we talk of matching grants from the government or even looking at the investment portfolio of EOBI, that's a serious shortfall in terms of contribution. So it needs to be addressed ASAP, and we've already worked on the amendment side of things. So inshallah, in the coming days, you'll see some serious effort in this regard. And to what extent I would be able to, get the amendments passed, let's just see. But we'll have to do our, spade work. Just to give you a flavor of how the EOBI stands as an institution. So Dr. Sohail Safdar साहब ने बहुत अच्छी तरीके से कहा कि और फिर डॉक्टर निजाम साहब ने कि it's a resilient organization. For the past many years, at least 8 years, we have been in the news for all the wrong reasons. And again, problem मैंने जब compassion की बात की और intent की, तो that was the basic problem. Otherwise, this organization, in terms of its resilience, in terms of its financial position, it's not bad. I'm an open person, and I would like to share our financial position. For me, unless you know exactly what is the ground reality, you cannot bring about a change. So what you cannot measure, you cannot improve. Right now, the book value of our assets is in excess of 360 billion rupees. And if I were to, map it on the current market rates, it's in excess of 550 billion rupees organization. So in terms of funds, we don't have any problems. Last year, we generated a surplus of 18 billion. Right now, we'll be going through the process of our budget finalization and its approval. As I look at the figures, we have a surplus of around 14 billion for this year also. So in terms of financial numbers, that's not a problem. We have an investment portfolio which is serving us well, given the fact that the interest rates have come down. So probably this year round, we have to focus more on the equity markets and at the same time on the real estate investment portfolio. So no worries, because we've already made plans, and I think in the coming year, we would be at least generating the same amount of surplus, if not more. So even with regards to details of it, मैं डॉक्टर साहब से रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा कि अगर आपको अरेंज करें तो we can actually have a presentation on the investment portfolio for EOBI, and probably I can seek your opinion and your observation on that, because I'm on continuous lookout in terms of improvement of our investment portfolio, because that is where we multiply our investments and we are better served in terms of our pension payouts. With this 8,500 rupees increase, our pension payout would be at least 40 billion rupees, 40 billion for the year. So, and our contribution collection right now, even in this COVID situation, we have been able to generate in excess of 21 billion rupees. But given the fact that we have a surplus in our investment portfolio, so we have been able to, cross-subsidize, and we are able to, fund that payout. Having said that, the contribution has to go up, and given the fact that we are bringing in the technology ETI project, that would at least be able to plug the loopholes we have, and I'm pretty confident that a year and a half from now, this contribution would be in excess of at least rupees 30 billion. I can guarantee you that, because having worked with the figures, worked with the systems, and worked with the processes, and of course bringing about improvements in that, I'm very confident that we'll be able to bridge this gap, and hopefully, inshallah, we'd be in a much better position a year from now. Now, I gave you the labor force survey figures. So out of 70 million, 14 million, 20% of 70 million was 14 million, which we are dealing with. The rest 56 million, that resides outside the ambit of EOBI. So we are moving an amendment whereby we want to bring the overseas Pakistanis, there are around 9 million workers over there, and plus the rest part of it into our ambit. These basically informal sector, both the agriculture and non-agriculture sectors, where you have got housemaids, you've got bhatta workers, you've got waiters, you've got gig economy people, bikias and food panda, bikers, they would be covered in that. So it's a massive program, and hopefully, inshallah, if we get it right, and I'm very confident we'll get it right, because I've had experience, and I know that based on my stints with the ADB and of course PIFRA, we should be able to, at least on a scale of 1 to 10, should be able to achieve 7 or 8 notches in terms of what the final outcomes of the projects are. So if you look at the informal sector, once this project is complete and give or take another year or so, so with a 56 million footprint, I think we should be able to at least cover 50% of that footprint, and that is huge. It's around 28-30 million workers. So 2.5 years down the line, if I combine both the formal and informal sector, and given the fact that we'd be able to get the amendment passed through the parliament in terms of registering the informal sector, so we should be having a database of at least 45 million workers, both in the formal and informal sectors. So that is something which is substantial. And when we talk of informal economy, we have this self-employment schemes in terms of pension, and somebody talked about the India Stack program, Aadhaar. So although I personally feel, my opinion is that Nadra was way ahead of Indians, what they are doing right now. I mean, after 2013 and 14, probably Nadra was there in 2001 or 2. They could have built upon it. And customer profile data, so to speak, CPD, ये सब नादरा के पास मौजूद था. और जो फाइनेंशियल इंक्लूजन की हम अक्सर बात करते हैं, ये पाकिस्तान कम अज कम मेरे ख्याल में रीजनल कॉन्टेक्स्ट में we were at least 10 years ahead of our neighboring countries. But unfortunately, as I see, Nadra का जो focus है from welfare, it has gone more in terms of commercial, understanding. So their basic understanding now is to generate revenues primarily as a starting point, rather than looking at the welfare side of things. That's basically a critique, not just that I'm being offensive over here, but unfortunately, that's the understanding I have. Just to give you 2 or 3 other pointers, we carried out our actuarial valuation. We've recently completed, and we got the report on 12th of June. And on the basis of that, the approval for increase of 2,000 rupees was given by the federal government. Just to give you, again, an update on this, 2008, 2010, 2012, 2015, and even 2018, जो कि इस government ने increase दिया, वो section under section 2A of this EOBI Act. And when we went to the federal cabinet under section 2A, हम ये चाहते थे कि increase मिल जाए. तो वहाँ पे Ministry of Law ने they had an objection, and they said कि section 21, which requires that actuarial valuation जो है वो it should be done not more than 3 years का उसका span होना चाहिए, और any increase before you give it, that should be based on actuarial valuation. So we went for actuarial evaluation. जो last June 30th 2017 की actuarial valuation आई थी, SPRS ने शिबली इस्लाम एंड कंपनी इन लोगों ने की थी, तो उसमें डिप्लीशन हमारी ईयर 2021 में सेट होनी थी और एग्जॉस्शन ऑफ द फंड वाज it was projected at year 2027. But alhamdulillah, the recent valuation, it gives us a projection कि अगर 8,500 की इंक्रीज दें तो हमारा जो फंड की डिप्लीशन आएगी वो 2033 में आएगी, और जो हमारा एग्जॉस्शन सेट होगा वो 2039. So I am happy to report to this August forum that there are certain institutional reforms which we brought. I mean, the contribution collection plus the recovery and of course the investment decisions. कुछ मेरे predecessors के थे, कुछ जो हमने आके किए, तो resultantly the surplus is such that we have had a very positive evaluation. At the same time, the programs we have set in, they were critically analyzed, and of course they were threadbare discussions. And just to again give you an update, पिछले 7 साल में हमारे 4 मेगा प्रोजेक्ट्स थे. एक एक्स सेरेना होटल लाहौर में, देन देयर इज जौहर टाउन कमर्शियल कॉम्प्लेक्स, इस्लामाबाद में हमारी एक ओईसी टावर्स हैं, और एक हमारी सिनेप्लेक्स I8 के अंदर पूरे कमर्शियल कॉम्प्लेक्स हैं. ये पिछले 7 साल से स्टॉल हुए हुए थे बिकॉज ऑफ what happened in the past. So what I did when I came on board कि इनको arbitration के process से निकाल के और इन सबको revive कर दिया. Now in 2013 the projection was that they would bring us a rental income of 2.5 to 3 billion rupees. So as I speak now, जो लाहौर का एक्स सेरेना, it is supposed to complete next year in February March. OEC Towers जो है already हम इसको कर चुके हैं, यानी contract out कर चुके हैं, and they should be completing it in October. Although COVID की वजह से इन्होंने जुलाई में complete करना था, but of course because of the lockdown situation में आ गई. And the rest of the 2 projects, one the Jordan property, it's 80% complete. हमारी judgment reserve हुई हुई arbitration पे for past 5 months. I hope कि इंशाल्लाह ताला इस्लामाबाद हाई कोर्ट इस मंथ में उसको अनाउंस कर दे, तो another 2 months that would be commissioned. So all the 4 projects, if they are revived, and if I were to take the rental income from February March next year onwards, it would be 4 billion plus. So the problem with the organization is not that it has gone to dogs. It's just that there were certain things which needed to go through the process of revival. So happily Allah ka shukr hum wo kar chuke hain. And then finally जो मैं आपको एक चीज बताना चाहता हूँ, एहसास program में we were the first organization which shared its databases with Dr. Sania Nishtar, both at the federal level and provincial level. We also shared our databases with the provincial governments, Punjab government, Sindh government, and of course KPK government. At the same time, Dr. Ishrat साहब के साथ जो daily wages और जो यानी आपके रोटा सिस्टम के ऊपर जो वर्कर्स काम करते हैं, उनके साथ हमने डेटाबेस शेयर किया. एंड एट द सेम टाइम we were able to identify the sources of databases in the private sector. There's a huge resource, probably आप सब लोगों को पता होगा कि जो ज़कात के databases हैं मुस्तहिकीन के, वो they are the biggest repository in terms of मुस्तहिकीन की जो आप private sector के अंदर daily wages और informal sector की जो आप बात करते हैं, वो plus बैतुल माल and of course BISP के और एहसास के अपने इनके databases थे. And we also contributed in terms of whatever observation, whatever setup we had. Like we have an arrangement with Bank Al-Falah, which actually provides the services to our pensioners. And 2 months down the line, inshallah, pension at the doorstep. So our pensioners would have this facility के बजाय इसके कि वो ATM पे जाएं और जाके खुद physically अपने आप को verify करें, उनको घर पे जो है facility इंशाल्लाह जो है मिल जाएगी. I've put in the program, deadline है हमारी, तो सितंबर में ये इंशाल्लाह ये हो जाएगा. So with this background, I would leave it up to you guys to actually whatever I've said and whatever observations you have, please throw at me. I would be very happy to actually respond to your queries. And there's so much to tell you, but unfortunately, I have a time limitation. So I'll leave it to Dr. Safdar Sohail to actually take it over from here.
Ji, Azhar Sab, thank you very much. Really big thanks for giving such a, I would say, transparency. You yourself pointed out that that is at the heart of the leadership. And this is very reassuring that we have this kind of leadership which combines compassion with professional excellence and with technology. I think the way you have used the technology, and I'm sure that I'm representing all the audience, that the details that you have given are very reassuring, bringing hope, and they all would be together with me in wishing you good luck to take the things forward. So many things have already been unblocked over the last since March that you are here, and but you have big ticket items lying ahead of you. There are, you have been kind to point out very serious issues which need much more debate and fresh knowledge, be it role of courts, federation, province, where should the, you see, one would say that, okay, fine, whatever suits the citizens should be better. But to say it in a non-political, technical way, this is the knowledge which should help, the fresh knowledge. And we hope that our Social Protection Resource Center is at your disposal and would work together in all ways. Because this is our first interaction, so we would have more dedicated sessions in future also. The report that we would generate of this event would also throw up many more questions. And we expect some questions coming from Zahoor Awansab also, who has been very patient in waiting also. It's my pleasure to welcome Zahoor Awansab for the last presentation, you can say, of today. Zahoor Awansab is a well-known figure. He is General Secretary of Pakistan Workers Federation. He is member of ILO governing body, which is an honor for Pakistan also. He is also a member of the governing body of International Trade Union Confederation. Awansab has a 43 years of experience with trade unions, so one can call him Babai Trade Union in Pakistan. Started as a student leader, then joined the trade union movement at the age of 21 and has been representing Pakistan all over the world. And he also has authored multiple books. So I would stop here. He has an illustrious career. ज़हूर अवानसब, अब आप हमें बताइए कि अज़हर हमीद साहब ने बहुत डिटेल से बताया हमें जो EOBI के हवाले से, अब ट्रेड यूनियन पर्सपेक्टिव इस सारे इशू पे EOBI के हवाले से और इन जनरल जो ओल्ड एज वेलबीइंग है वो क्या है। आप माइक अपना ऑन कर लीजिए, माइक ऑन कर लीजिए ज़हूर साहब, आपका माइक ऑन नहीं है।
अब आए?
हाँ जी, अब आ गया, अब बात कीजिए, बिस्मिल्लाह।
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. First of all, Sohail Safdar Sahab, thank you very much for organizing again this and the initiative you are taking for the social protection, which is very important for the era in the globalization and in the 21st century when it was started. In the very first instance, let I also praise, because Azhar Hamid Sahab, EOB, in the absence of him, I praised him a lot for his initiative since he became the chairman of EOBI. Even to you, Sohail Safdar Sahab, I earlier told, I although never met with the brother Azhar Hamid Sahab, we never spoke to each other, but I know his actions, and he, since I became for the first time as EOBI Board of Trustee member in 1982, 1982 to 1988. Since then, several chairmen I met, 3 chairmen, I count them as the best one, and Azhar Hamid Sahab is one of them. This is good. Second thing is regarding the EOBI, because last lot of presentation it has already been made, and since Chairman Sahab has also mentioned a lot of things in which the initiative so far has been taken, how the sustainability of this institution can be carried on, because at the time when I was part of this EOBI Board of Trustee, at that time, since actuarial valuation were started during even those times, in which we had a lot of contribution, how sustainability at the end would come, because the time when I had joined, at that time, there was not any pensioner who was dying, because pensioner insurable employment, it remains around 15 years. So it was very initial stages of this EOBI. Second point is devolution. मेरे ख्याल में devolution, मेरे ख्याल में हम में इंग्लिश सुनने वाले कोई नहीं है, तो मेरे ख्याल में उर्दू में भी मैं कोशिश करूंगा बात करूं. Devolution के मामलात के ऊपर मैं समझता हूं there should come a now final round. Because devolution की जब बात हुई, ठीक है 18th constitutional amendment आई, लेकिन हमने ये सोचा कि ये किस तरह चले. EOBI जो है इस वक्त जिस तरह डेटा दिया गया 70 लाख, अगर टोटल इस वक्त तक रजिस्टर्ड है 30 से 40 लाख के दरमियान कोई मेंबर हैं 3 to 4 मिलियन के वो एक्टिव हैं इसमें पेंशनर, लेकिन सोशल सिक्योरिटी का पूरा डेटा ILO के पास जो आज मौजूद है वो टोटल पाकिस्तान में 2 मिलियन से भी कम है. तो वो भी एक इंस्टीट्यूशन है, तो जिसकी वजह से सूबों ने बहुत मुश्किल से उनके हालात हैं, खास तौर पर खैबर पख्तूनख्वा और बलोचिस्तान के, जिसकी बुनियाद पर हमने इसकी डेवोल्यूशन की मुखालफत की. पिलडाट के जरिए हमने कोशिश की उस जमाने में पार्लियामेंटेरियन को, फिर हम आए दूसरी तरफ अपना लीगल एक्सपर्ट बाबर सत्तार साहब, उनके जरिए एक पेपर हमने बड़ा रजाकाराना तैयार किया कि ये डेवोल्यूशन EOBI को रहना चाहिए, पेंशन स्कीम को रहना चाहिए, वर्कर वेलफेयर फंड को रहना चाहिए वफाक में, क्योंकि 2 सूबों का बहुत बड़ा नुकसान है और कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनली भी उन्होंने इस चीज को कवर किया. और फिर 2 सूबों की करारदाद आ गई. मिसाल के तौर पर खैबर पख्तूनख्वा की असेंबली से पास कराते हुए हमें बड़ी मुश्किलात का सामना करना पड़ा था एज ए वर्कर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. बलोचिस्तान भी यही सूरत हाल रही, लेकिन अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह वहां से करारदादें आई कि इसको खत्म न किया जाए. अब हैरानगी की बात है कि सिंध ने उठकर बजाय इसके कि वो वफाक का इंतजार करता, उसने उठकर, और सिंध में चूंकि 42% ऑफ द टोटल ये जो EOBI का है वो सिंध से है, 43 पंजाब में है, 8% जो है वो खैबर पख्तूनख्वा में है और 7% जो है वो बलोचिस्तान के अंदर है. तो ऐसी सूरत हाल के अंदर हम समझते हैं कि सिंध का सबसे पहले ये इलाज किया जाए कि किसी तरीके पे इसको चलने दें वफाक के अंदर, ताकि सारे सूबों के अंदर, क्योंकि सबसे बड़ा मसला जो हमारे लिए है माइग्रेंट वर्कर किस तरह करना होगा. आप देखें शांगला का वर्कर वहां पर माइंस का जब जाता है, लाकड़ा में दुक्की में जाता है बलोचिस्तान के अंदर, हाथ का मजदूर उठकर लांडी में आ जाता है, लांडी वाला हब में चला जाता है. ये इंश्योरेबल एम्प्लॉयमेंट कैसे होगी? नेशनल इंस्टीट्यूट. और फिर इसके अलावा हमें तो समझते हैं कि 2 सूबों के अंदर तो ये स्कीम बिल्कुल बंद हो जाएगी, चलेगी नहीं. आज क्यों नहीं है कश्मीर में? कश्मीर में कोई स्कीम नहीं है EOBI की उस तरह एक्टिव. गलगित में जब पाकिस्तान के साथ थी तो कोई थोड़ा जैसी एक्टिविटी थी. आज गलगित के अंदर भी मुझे बता दें कि कितना डेटा मौजूद है, वही पुराने वाला डेटा जरूर मौजूद, नया कोई इंस्टीट्यूशन वहां पर कायम नहीं है. क्या वो मजदूर सोशल प्रोटेक्शन में पेंशन के आल या दरमियान में माजूरी या दीगर के आल या ओल्ड एज ग्रांट के आल वो मजदूर नहीं है उन 2 जगहों के. इस वजह से डेवोल्यूशन. अब आते हैं, मैं बड़ा मुख्तसर कोशिश करूंगा, पॉइंट मेरे पास कि जो कुछ प्रेजेंट हुआ उसमें से बहुत ज्यादा है, लेकिन कंट्रीब्यूशन के लिहाज से गवर्नमेंट नील, कंट्रीब्यूशन नील. किसके ऊपर? बिल्कुल चेयरमैन साहब ने कहा अगर 5% हम प्राइवेट एम्प्लॉयर पे ले जाते हैं, 1% वर्कर पे ले जाते हैं, गवर्नमेंट की कंट्रीब्यूशन कहीं नजर नहीं आ रही. और गवर्नमेंट की कंट्रीब्यूशन हम ये समझते हैं कि अगर मान लिया कि चले फॉर्मल सेक्टर की एम्प्लॉयमेंट के ऊपर अगर सिर्फ गवर्नमेंट की कंट्रीब्यूशन हम नहीं करते, चले एम्प्लॉयर दे रहा है, चले वर्कर भी कुछ थोड़ा बहुत दे रहा है, लेकिन उसके साथ साथ हम ये कहेंगे کہ اس کو انفارمل سیکٹر میں، کیونکہ ثانیہ نشتر صاحبہ کا جو بالکل پرائم منسٹر نے جو احساس پروگرام کیا تھا، اس کے اندر بھی میں نے بہت زیادہ اس سلسلے میں کی تھی کہ اس انفارمل سیکٹر میں جب تک گورنمنٹ خود نہیں آئے گی، مثال کے طور پر 2 باتیں میں کہتا ہوں اس فورم کے حوالے سے، چونکہ چیئرمین صاحب EOBI بھی موجود ہیں، اس میں چونکہ وہ نہیں تھے. سب سے عام بات یہ ہے کہ آپ دیکھیں ایگریکلچر ورکر میں کارپوریٹ ایگریکلچر ہے. ہم نے یہ بھی تجویز دی کہ جب گندم کی بوری وہاں پر ہوتی ہے اس کے اوپر ایک لیوی لگ جائے جو عام کنزیومر کو جائے اور وہ چلی جائے سوشل پروٹیکشن کے اداروں کو، تاکہ وہ رجسٹرڈ ہو جائیں ایگریکلچر ورکر جو کارپوریٹ ایگریکلچر کے اندر زیادہ تر ہیں. اسی طرح نیوز پیپر ہاکرز مثال کے طور پر 1,10,000 ہے پورے پاکستان کے جن کی ایسوسییشن ہے. انہوں نے یہ آفر کر دیا احساس پروگرام کے اندر کہ ہم 25% آف دا کنٹریبیوشن، ناٹ 1%، 25% آف دا کنٹریبیوشن ہم دیتے ہیں، لیکن 75% آف دا کنٹریبیوشن گورنمنٹ اپنی طرف سے انسٹیٹیوشن میں ڈالے، یعنی EOBI میں اپنی کنٹریبیوشن ڈالے تاکہ ہم کور ہوں. ایسی صورت حال کے اندر بھی ہم ایز اے ورکر آرگنائزیشن کچھ رول پلے کرنے کی پوزیشن میں ہیں. لیکن دوسری طرف سے گورنمنٹ کو چاہیے کہ سوشل پروٹیکشن میں، اگر مثال کے طور پر میں نے خود IMF اور ورلڈ بینک کی میٹنگوں کے اندر جب سوشل پروٹیکشن آئی، میں نے اپنے انہی انسٹیٹیوشن کا ذکر کیا. میں نے کہا ٹھیک ہے بے نظیر انکم سپورٹ پروگرام میں آپ دیں، لیکن وہ ورکر جو ہیں IMF اور ورلڈ بینک کا، ساری اس کا ورلڈ بینک میں تھا، تو اس کے اندر ہم نے یہی کہا کہ آپ دیں اس سلسلے میں ان انسٹیٹیوشن میں ان انفارمل ورکر کو جو انفارمل آغاز میں ذرا وہ اپنے پاؤں پر کھڑا ہو جائیں، اور وقت آنے کے ساتھ ساتھ وہ ہوگا. اب جو صورتحال ہے دیکھیں، اس وقت اگر 90 لاکھ یا 1 کروڑ اس وقت مزدور اس کے زمرے میں آتا ہے پاکستان کے اندر جو فارمل امپلائمنٹ ہے، فارمل امپلائمنٹ کے اندر اگر وہ 1 کروڑ ورکر میں سے چلے 30 سے 40 لاکھ اس وقت ایکٹو میں، پینشنر سمیت ٹوٹل 70 لاکھ ہے، بقایا جو ہے وہ کس طریقہ کار کے اندر وہ بھی کور ہو. اس وقت تو سب سے بڑی جو میں نے مزدور احساس پروگرام کے اندر تجاویز دی تھی وہ یہی تھی کہ اس وقت تو سب سے بڑی بات جو فارمل سیکٹر کا امپلائی ہے وہ جو رہتا ہے اس کی کوریج کو کس طرح یقینی بجائے، کیونکہ لا تو بہت اچھا ہے کہ 5 یا 5 سے اوپر پر اپلیکیبل ہے، لیکن 5 کہاں، کتنی بڑی تعداد ہے. مثلا میں آپ کو 2 مثالیں دیتا ہوں. مثلا چائنیز کمپنیز اس وقت جو کنسٹرکشن کی ہیں، چاہے سلیپ ایک کے اوپر ہے، چاہے مثال کے طور پر اس وقت میں 2 نام لیتا ہوں، ایک کروڑ پروجیکٹ ہے، ایک ہے اپنا سکی کناری ڈیم جس میں ایک میں 2200 ورکر ہے، ایک میں بھی تقریباً اتنی تعداد ہے 3000 کے لگ بھگ. ان کے اوپر وہ ہے ہمارا جو یونین وہاں بن گئی، تو چارٹر آف ڈیمانڈ یہ دیا کہ EOBI کی جو ہے وہ کیا جائے، پورا لاگو کیا جائے ان ورکر پر، ان کی کنٹریبیوشن پر. یہ صورتحال ہے ایون فار دا فارمل امپلائمنٹ، کنسٹرکشن سیکٹر ہے. اس طرف کو اگر ہم آئیں، آپ دیکھیں روڈ ٹرانسپورٹ کے اندر کتنا ورکر ہے، آپ آئیں دوسری طرف کو اتنا زیادہ ورکر ہے جس کے اوپر لا اپلیکیبل ہے، لیکن دوسری طرف سے انفارچونیٹلی وہ اس سے معروم ہے. ایک اور امپارٹنٹ بات جو یہ ہے کہ کنٹریبیوشن میں جو امپلائر کی طرف سے، فارمل امپلائمنٹ امپلائر کی طرف سے مثلا 8,000 کی کنٹریبیوشن جو ویج سلیب ہے، وہ ابھی تک گو کہ اس میں کچھ یہ اچھی جدوجہد ہوئی ہے جی کی اپلیکیبلٹی، لیکن اس کو ابھی تک امپلیمنٹ نہیں کیا گیا تاکہ EOBI کی کنٹریبیوشن 8,000 کیا ورکر 8,000 17,000 18,000 20,000 25,000 تک بھی بعض ہزاروں میں تنخواہ ہے، لیکن 8,000 کی، اور وہ کورٹ کیسوں میں بھی اس سلسلے میں گئے ہوئے ہیں. یہ وہ چیلنج ہے جس کو ہر صورت میں ہم سمجھتے ہیں کرنا چاہیے. اب آ جاتے ہیں جو سب سے امپارٹنٹ بات ہے اس سلسلے میں، وہ یہ ہے کہ کس طریقہ کار پر موجودہ EOBI کے سسٹم میں اس طرح کے سلسلے کیے جائیں جس میں بڑی امپارٹنٹلی یہ بات بھی ہو. مثلا EOBI چونکہ لیبر انسپیکٹر جو دیگر ہیں وہ EOBI کے انسپیکٹر بالکل علیحدہ ہیں، وہ نہیں کر سکتے اس کو، لیکن ان کی تعداد جس طرح میں نے پہلے کہا انتہائی کم ہے. اس کے مقابلے میں جتنی زیادہ کوریج کے لیے ان کو سہولتیں اور دیگر چیزیں اویلیبل ہونی چاہیے. سب سے پہلے کیپیسٹی بلڈنگ ان کی ہونی چاہیے कि वो ज्यादा से ज्यादा तादाद में लेबर इंस्पेक्टर, और फिर अगर फार्मल सेक्टर जिस तरह मजदूर एहसास प्रोग्राम के अंदर आया था, फार्मल सेक्टर की एम्प्लॉयमेंट को अगर उस सिलसिले में लिया गया, जाहिर है लेबर इंस्पेक्शन पर बहुत बड़ी तादाद में EOBI के जो इंस्पेक्टर है टू मेक इट कवरेज द इंस्टीट्यूशन, वो बहुत ज्यादा तादाद में इस तरफ भी मोहतरम चेयरमैन साहब वो बढ़ाएंगे। फिर ऑनलाइन रजिस्ट्रेशन के मामलात के ऊपर भी जरा देखा जाए कि किस तरह हो। एक और मेरी तजवीज है, हो सकता है चेयरमैन साहब के इल्म में शायद हो सकता है इसमें कोई काम हो रहा हो। मिसाल के तौर पर FBR है, FBR के अंदर बाज एम्प्लॉयर जो है वो उठकर अपना डेटा देता है, और वो डेटा दे देता है मजदूरों का ज्यादा अपनी कास्ट शो करने के लिए, एक्चुअल दे देता है। चलें वो उधर भी वो एम्प्लॉयर झूठ नहीं बोलता, लेकिन वो दे देता है अपना डेटा। मिसाल के तौर पर मेरा है 500 मजदूर, वहां से डेटा ले लिया जाए कि जिधर वो अपने टैक्स के रिटर्न में वो देता है, और उसको काउंटर चेक किया जाए कि EOBI के अंदर मजदूरों की कितनी कंट्रीब्यूशन है। ये भी एक बैलेंस है इसको करने का। आखिरी बात जो मैं समझता हूँ इन्वेस्टमेंट से मुतल्लिक है। इन्वेस्टमेंट में इसमें कोई शक नहीं, पिछले 7 साल चेयरमैन साहब ने भी कुछ थोड़ा इशारा उस तरफ किया है, अजहर साहब ने, लेकिन मैं समझता हूँ कि इन्वेस्टमेंट के अंदर पिछले 7 सालों के अंदर, क्योंकि हम ट्रेड यूनियन हर चीज पे नजर रखते हैं, लेकिन मैं महसूस ये करता हूँ कि 7 साल पिछले जो गुजरे हैं इसके अंदर कोई ऐसी चीज नजर नहीं आई, किसी किस्म की भी इन्वेस्टमेंट बेहतर अंदाज में हम समझते हैं हो रही है पिछले 7 साल एटलीस्ट। उससे पिछले में जो गपले हुए, सिलसिला हुआ जिसमें आज दिन तक EOBI खामखा सुप्रीम कोर्ट के उन सुओ मोटो एक्शन में भी मौजूद है, जिसमें वो असल काम से मारूम हो जाते हैं और हमेशा के लिए वहां पर वो पदार रहते हैं इस मामलात के अंदर। इसी के साथ साथ जो सबसे आम बात है हमने जो देखनी है, इस तरह अगर हमारे मुल्क में 6 करोड़ से ऊपर इस वक्त वर्कफोर्स है और 2 करोड़ 40 लाख अगर उनमें एग्रीकल्चर का वर्कर है, क्या हमने वहां नहीं जाना? अब EOBI को कायम हुए, मेरी ट्रेड यूनियन जब मैं आया था तो उससे पहले कायम हुई थी। आई मैं 43 years with the age of 64 I am in trade union movement। तो क्या हमें आज भी नहीं सोचना चाहिए उन मजदूरों का जो इस वक्त गैर रस्मी शोबे से 2 करोड़ 40 लाख को वाबस्ता है? हमें ये नहीं देखना चाहिए कि इस मामलात के अंदर इस वक्त 70 लाख बीमा शुदा या पेंशन वाले तकरीबन इस वक्त कितने हैं? 3 से 4 लाख हैं। 4 लाख के लगभग जो मेरी ये हो सकता है मैं वो पसमानदान पेंशनर में कोई 2 लाख हैं, माजूरी की पेंशन में कोई 10,000 हैं। और इसी तरह की सूरत हाल के अंदर हम ये समझते हैं फिर भी EOBI सोशल सिक्योरिटी के मुकाबले में ज्यादा नंबर ऑफ वर्कर्स को उसने किया। वफाक में होने की नाते सोशल सिक्योरिटी सूबों में 2 सूबों में तो बिल्कुल ही कमजोर है, और ऐसी सूरत हाल के अंदर हम समझते हैं कि हाउ वी कैन गो अहेड टू क्राउन द एफर्ट्स फ्रॉम ऑल ऑफ अस कैन बी मेड ए सक्सेस। मैं इस सिलसिले में आखिरी तजवीज ये दूंगा EOBI से भी, सोशल सिक्योरिटी से भी, कि ये जो नया फोरम बना है सोशल प्रोटेक्शन का, और बिलखसूस ILO में तो आई विल प्ले माई ओन रोल आल्सो हाउ टू सपोर्ट दिस इनिशिएटिव आल्सो। प्राइवेट इनिशिएटिव है, अच्छे लोगों के साथ है, रिसर्च का है। EOBI भी किस तरीके पे इस इंस्टीट्यूशन के साथ कोऑर्डिनेशन कर सकती है सोहेल सफ्दर साहब की सरबराही में, क्योंकि सोहेल सफ्दर साहब को मैं जानता हूं कि ब्रसल्स बेल्जियम में जब ये पाकिस्तान मिशन में वहां थे तो एम्बेसी में, और GSP जो पाकिस्तान के ऊपर था उसमें मैंने इनका देखा, इन्होंने मुझे देखा, हमारी एक अच्छी शनासाई हुई, जनेवा में मुलाकात हुई। अब इन्होंने एक अच्छा चीज चुनी कि अपनी तमाम जो नेशनल और डिप्लोमेटिक सर्विस है उसके बाद वो इस तरफ आए हैं। मैं इनका शुक्रिया अदा करता हूँ। ऐसे लोग हमें चाहिए जो आए, इस इनिशिएटिव को लें, चीजों को करें, रिसर्च करें, आगे की तरफ जाएं, सिलसिले को हाईलाइट करें, मदद करें इंस्टीट्यूशंस की इन टर्म्स ऑफ इंटेलेक्चुअल आउटपुट। तो मैं समझता हूँ ILO में मैं तो खुद इंशाल्लाह रोल अदा करूंगा हाउ टू सपोर्ट द इनिशिएटिव ऑफ दिस सोशल प्रोटेक्शन ग्रुप। थैंक यू वेरी मच जी।
अवान साहब बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। एक तो बहुत आप हमेशा से पैशनेटली इन मौज़ूआत पे बात करते हैं। आई एम रियली personally thankful also for your kind words. For me, our initiative, pure public good initiative, we do not ask for any money from anybody. We just ask for moral and technical support and we look forward to have continued support from all of you. And now coming towards the end, this is a focus group discussion format. That is why we did not keep much time for the question answer discussion. And most of the participants are expert advisory group members also. So I would request them to send us their detailed comments in writing, because we would like to go back to the panels with 2 minutes each to conclude our session. We start in the instant case with Azhar Hamid Sab, because the comments of Awan Sab have just been concluded, and I think if you could comment on that, and particularly dispel, you have already dispelled this impression that government is indirectly actually contributing, see, when it's meeting the shortfall. But I would request you to quickly respond to Awan Sabs and in general also, and then we would go back to Dr. Nizam for his words. Ji, Azhar Sab.
थैंक यू सफदर साहब. अवान साहब से मेरी जूम के ऊपर ही एक दो दफ़ा इंटरेक्शन हुआ है. I haven't had the pleasure of meeting him personally, face to face, but nevertheless अवान साहब की जो जितनी भी ऑब्जर्वेशन उन्होंने की वो ठीक है, उसमें कोई डिनाई कर ही नहीं सकता, क्योंकि जो भी फिगर्स वो कोट कर रहे हैं, we all know that they exist as a reality. Unfortunately, given our economic situation, ये ठीक है कि गवर्नमेंट का जो कंट्रीब्यूशन है डायरेक्ट उस तरह से नज़र नहीं आता, लेकिन ये याद रहे और ये अवान साहब को भी पता है कि अगर मिनिमम वेज रेट अगर गवर्नमेंट जो है वो 8,500 अब दे रही है, और वो लोग जो कंट्रीब्यूट कर रहे हैं 170 पे, 480 पे, और वो 50% है इस तरह के एम्प्लॉयर्स, बिकॉज आई एम स्पीकिंग थ्रू डेटाबेस फिगर्स, तो आप ट्रेजेडी देखें कि ये रियलाइजेशन किसी को भी नहीं है कि गवर्नमेंट इनडायरेक्टली बहुत एक मेजर इनिशिएटिव लेके कर रही है. यानी अगर मेरा जो कंट्रीब्यूशन का शॉर्टफॉल है बिटवीन द पेंशन पे आउट, और वो इस वक्त तकरीबन कोई 17-18 बिलियन का, और अगर मैं यही 8,500 से कम करके मैं उस पर ले जाऊं जितना वो कंट्रीब्यूशन दे रहे हैं रिस्पेक्टिव ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस, तो बड़े आराम से मेरा 10-12 बिलियन तो यहीं से खत्म हो जाएगा. तो जस्ट लुक एट इट कि जो पेंशन पे आउट है उसमें गवर्नमेंट का इनडायरेक्ट कंट्रीब्यूशन जो आ रहा है थ्रू दिस इंस्टीट्यूशन, इट इज ऑलरेडी ऑन ईयरली बेसिस तकरीबन कोई 11-12 बिलियन का आ रहा है. दैट इज सब्सटेंशियल. और फिर उसके बाद अगर हम इंक्रीज के ऊपर मैचिंग ग्रांट्स की भी बात करते हैं, तो इट्स लाइक पुटिंग द गवर्नमेंट अंडर मोर स्ट्रेस. So not that I am a proponent of what the government does, but circumstantially आप ये देखें कि ये चीज़ अगर अच्छी हो गई है तो उसको appreciate भी करना चाहिए. So I believe कि to that extent we are well served indirectly कि government ने ये decision लिया हुआ है कि चाहे contribution 170 पे कोई दे रहा है, 480 पे दे रहा है या 780 पे, आपने minimum pension जो है ना वो 8,500 से देनी है. Then the other things जो ज़हूर साहब ने point out किए, देखें इस फोरम के तवस्सुत से मैं आपको ये बड़ा क्लियरली बता दूं कि although we are all well wishers in terms of social protection, but our efforts they have to have synergy. और पहले मुझे तो नहीं नज़र आया, लेकिन अब जब ये हम PASP की बात कर रहे हैं और SPRC, तो I have a ray of hope, ray of light, where I think that whatever observations people have made or whatever queries people have, they can be combined together, and probably a collective effort is made in terms of bringing about sustainable solutions. So to that extent, I'm very happy that today we have organized and we are at a forum where we are expressing our observations, and inshallah in future we should be able to collate, aggregate the solutions and probably bring about the synergy in terms of social protection improvement. So to that extent, बहुत अच्छा है जनाब, और मैं ही समझता हूँ कि जो एफर्ट्स हैं उनको कलेक्टिवली जो है हमें सिनर्जाइज करना
जी. अदर से बहुत शुक्रिया. We have a lot of comments and suggestions in the chat box also. We would obviously combine that also, and
ये मैंने वो देखे हैं।
हाँ जी, और वो हम अजहर साहब से फिर ये बायलैटरली जो है वो इनके जो है वो रिस्पॉन्सेज भी ले लेंगे, सो दैट हमारा जो इस पे पॉलिसी डॉक्यूमेंट आना है वो ज़्यादा कॉम्प्रीहेंसिव हो। अभी टाइम कंस्ट्रेंट ना होता, I really appreciate that all the participants who started the session at 11 are still with us, and I really feel bad by not asking Dr. Kamath or Dr. Ikram or Dr. Mehtab or many other colleagues. Dr. Alia is with us also to give their comment. That would have made, but that is the format
ILO representatives are also there, sitting there.
Also there. So in face-to-face focus group discussions, you have much more time, but smaller number of people. In this format, we have a good number of participants, which is wonderful. But as I said earlier, that all these friends are requested to guide us in writing on the issues which have been raised today. We look forward to the seniors in this group also. Ms. Amreen from Lahore is also here. At the end, Dr. Nizam Sahib, I'll request you to comment if you want on what has been presented, but also please guide us on the kind of ideas for new research and knowledge creation and way forward in general, both for Social Protection Resource Center as well as Pakistan Alliance for Social Protection. Dr. Nizam, over to you.
Thank you very much, Safdar Sahib, and I was really very pleased to be part of this session. I enjoyed the very frank and candid discussion from the chairperson of the EOBI and other members, and Safdar Sahib and other speakers. I really enjoyed it. I didn't expect that professional level discussion, that clear-cut issues, but my only concern is that this is the stage where our chairman at EOBI is about to launch or have already started launching restructuring, reforming. Look, I think you should be able to use a small working group from your organization, work with them on a daily basis. This is not going to be done. I don't know what his UBI's professional structure, office, who are the members, what professional level they have, no idea. But I think you have accumulated so many professionals in this group, both in the resource center as well as the expert group. You should be able to really work. This is a very serious job, to reform, restructure, especially when I'm a very good news that government decided, CCI decided to keep it federal level, which is not, I feel a lot of fragmentation in the pension system, as was pointed out by the HelpAge International presenter, Dr. Ajiba. I also feel that there's a lot of fragmentation, a lot of groups working to develop one group that is EOBI. That group takes the lead, be the pivotal group, and then bring together all part, and they should all merge or contribute to EOBI group. There should not be too many organizations dealing around. And then we should develop good systems using the internet technology, using the banking system, using the another system. So I think we should really welcome the open invitation by the chairman of the EOBI, and really use our resources that are available to you. And I will be very happy to participate in any working group that you formulate, work together closely with. And apart from that, then we have other things to do about awareness creation, about membership organization, about involving, engaging all the other persons. As you can already see, that people in Pakistan, as I said before, they don't retire at 60 in informal sector. They go on working till 80. Question is, how do we support them, and what can we do? Not just pension, but what else can we do to improve their healthy lifestyle, their healthy living, their medicine, their way of living? What we can do, not the pension system. We should work on those ADLs, how many ADLs they can perform, not perform, how can we help them on those daily activities. We need to develop, apart from pension system, we need to develop a lot of programs for the healthy well-being of the older population in Pakistan. I think this has been a great symposium seminar, and I really welcome and thank you very much for inviting me in this.
Nizam sir, thank you very much. In the end, I would just like to say that we have termed it as Focus Group Discussion 1. we already have a research and development program on old age well-being. We would co-opt more members. We are lucky to have a generous offer from Dr. Minhaj also to work on the subject, from Dr. Nizam also. Azhar Sab, we would discuss with you the ideas, particularly of closely working with each other. We would like to know what you have said in general, to see the documents and mobilize the experts. And then next time you come with your team and our experts speak, and then we have an interactive session again. So we would grow this program in consultation with ILO, with Workers Federation, with academia, with your institution. The institutions play a key role, and the institutions need retooling in terms of governance capacities, which is happening also. So we would like to be a capable partner in all these aspects, and I expect the Pakistan Alliance Partner Association, partner organizations, as well as our technical expert working group. And I thank you all for your participation, for your active direct and indirect contribution. And we meet soon. We would reach out again to all the participants with a comprehensive report of the current events, including the comments, and we hope to receive your comments also. So we look forward to very serious engagement with relevant institutions, and we are very happy and encouraged that our initiative is getting such a moral support, and we together all would be surely able to make a difference. The last line I wanted to share was that the experts have talked about the old age, etc. For me, it's equally important to know that we have a lot of young olds. The disease, you see, we people start feeling old at the age of 40 plus 50. Talk to people in 50, mentally they are already old. So we have to address these issues in a comprehensive way. So together we can, and inshallah we will. And I thank you all very much.